serving up a warm dish of the Triads culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is The Man Who Ate the Town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 131 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of October 28th through the 3rd of November 2019. November is my birth month, so I'm excited. My name is Tim Beeman.
And my name is Ray Morgan.
And we're opening the recipe box. You got your fingers out of the way?
Yeah. Ow!
Out of the way, not just move them around.
Sorry.
When I say move, I don't mean just like wiggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Ow. Man, that hurts. Okay.
We're going to have to invest in the Man
Moving
Who Ate
right
the Town.
along.
The Man Who Ate the Town branded Band-Aids. So you can put them on your finger whenever I close them up in the box.
That would be nice.
We're recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Less Desirable Studios in the lab at Industry Hill. First of all,
Yes, we are.
this is Ray's 1-year anniversary today.
Woo!
He agreed to fill in with me when Tim Johnson couldn't do it any longer, and he's been with me ever since. He's a good companion, good co-host, and a great friend, and I hope he's around for a long while.
Thank you.
The listeners
It's been
the listeners seem to dig you too, so that helps.
That does help.
So thank you, Ray, for being my co-host and my friend.
Truly been my pleasure.
Yeah, number 88 was your first one, and it was on the 29th, I believe, of October last year. So this is your
We've come a long way, baby.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. So Street Team member Stephen McDowell, who is, it seems like, my new research assistant, sponsored a trip to Little Richard's Barbecue on Stratford Road. You know, the one that
After all that we've had to say.
Well, yeah, I didn't say I wouldn't go there. I just have always said that I wish it was something else. But let's go over it here real quick. First, we had the wings. They came regular with no sauce, but we were given the Alabama White, the Thai chili, the hickory, the Korean, and we had the Carolina Gold, which is the South Carolina style southern, the mustard-based sauce, there on the table. The smoke on these wings was fantastic, and not overpowering, while the char was just right. They were meaty, juicy, and quite good. I'm more of a flats over bulbs kind of guy, and these were all bulbs. And for those of you who wonder what that means in wings, usually you get the like little bitty drumsticks, and then you get the actual like flat wings. Mm-hmm. I prefer the flats, but you know these were good. The hickory sauce to me masked the flavor of the wing too much, but the Korean was very good. The Alabama White was a bit peppery but good. The Thai chili and Carolina Gold were both fantastic, and dare I say, I prefer the Carolina Gold over the Lexington style. Yeah, I said it. That's
You did, out loud.
Yeah, and that was a great start. These wings, they were quite well done. I mean,
So let me
done
ask you,
well.
is this the way they normally serve them?
Yes.
With the sauce on the side?
Yes.
Okay.
You can get them tossed in one sauce, or you can just get them to bring sauces, and that's what we asked for. And they brought us 4 or 5. What did I say? Alabama White, Thai chili, hickory, Korean. 4, and then we had the on the table was the Carolina Gold. So I liked it. I liked that. So we also had the smoked meat combo, which we chose the brisket, the ribs, and the smoked sausage. And we had 2 sides. So we got baked beans and Frito pie for the sides. The brisket, in my opinion, and Steven's too, was a little bit overcooked and dry. The flavor was decent, but the cooked pieces could have been burnt ends like St. Louis style or Kansas City style. Mm-hmm. And Steven and I had talked about that. The ribs were meaty, decent sized, and juicy, but they were just serviceable, I think. They weren't fantastic. The smoked sausage, though, was the best item on this plate. They were juicy. The skin not too tough. You know, a lot of times you're like just ripping at it, trying to get it to come up.
Exactly.
This this cut very well. If you picked the whole thing up and ate it, you could tear it with your teeth without, looking like a jackal on an antelope or something. So it was really good. It's just smoky, delicious. Everything was there. It was, the smoked sausage was perfect. The baked beans had a great flavor, but it was cool. They were lukewarm at best.
Not the way you want baked beans.
No. You want them. I mean, you don't want them. I don't like anything piping hot, but I like it to be warm. These were not, and I believe they're sitting on a steam table. So they make them ahead of time and just leave them there, and then you come through, a service steam table. But they were okay. The Frito pie, though, was good as I suspected it would be. I figured the nature of it would be of a cooler temperature because it's brought in an actual Fritos bag. So you don't want something that's going to burn you holding it. And, it's supposed to be a little bit cooler. So that was good, but, was it fantastic? No. We also had the brisket sandwich, which was their attempt at a cheesesteak, or actually just a steak without the cheese. And on the menu it said it's a redneck cheesecake if you add the cheese to it. So, of course, we did. It's shaved smoked brisket piled high and topped with grilled onions on a hoagie roll. I think the onions and the cheese, what little cheese I could taste, covered up the brisket, which was, again, overcooked and dry. The sandwich was decent, but only, again, our new favorite word, serviceable. The onions were huge and overpowering. I would have rather have had less of them and had them chopped up. They were just big. The bread was soft, but you couldn't get past the dry meat and the mound of onions, really. Then we didn't really even order these. We had talked about them with the server, and he brought some by, the corn fritters. Now, I don't know that I've ever really had a corn fritter other than something like Stephanie would make because, she used to work in Old Salem and that's what they would do.
Right.
But these were sweet, seasoned, fried just right, and they were like a light dessert, really, with a sweet creamed corn filling. They were so easy to eat, I could have had a whole basket of them just by themselves. That was the dessert. We didn't need anything else after that. And it was really, really good. I was apprehensive at first, the first bite, and I'm like, it's corn. Okay, corn. Well, it's corn. It's cream corn. It's
corn.
Sweet cream corn. And it's fried. So, overall, Little Richard's was a decent experience. We enjoyed it, and we had fun eating there. Flavors were good, some better than others. While I still wish something more interesting would have gone in that space, I'll admit, the food was good. I don't know how much they've changed from the 5 Points or Big Shots era being there. I can't say I was there enough to know what it looked like inside. So I do recommend giving them a shot. And, as with everything, these are my opinions. More on that in a bit. But, these are my opinions. And my opinion was you should try it out. I went
as a quick question.
Yeah.
How does it stack up against some of the other barbecue places in town?
I don't know if they're still just getting acclimated, which, I've said this before. I don't like when people say, they're getting used to their new space. No, they have had restaurants in the past. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to open. Be ready to open. This is... 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months in or more, they should have gotten through the foot wetting by now.
Yeah.
So
do you think they have equaled or rivaled what we would get at a Bibbs or a Camel City?
No. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the place can't still grow even after being in it for a while. I'm just saying that if I'm rating this on what it is, it's had enough time and experience to get it right the first time. And so Camel City Barbecue Factory right now would be my place since Mr. Barbecue's not there. And I will always just say I appreciate what Bibbs is, but that's not my favorite place. And I'll just leave it at that. This this may rank to me higher than Bibbs, but it's also out of my way, and I wouldn't necessarily be heading over that way all the time. So, hold on.
But you might go back for the corn.
Oh yeah, I would love to go back because the menu is extensive, and I would like to go back and actually try different things, and maybe different combinations or different sauces or whatever. I really want to. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I want to try what's available because it could be just freak time that it wasn't what I wanted. It just.
Or try something besides the brisket.
Yeah. I actually want to try their pulled pork, but as Stephen made a point. He says we can get that anywhere. So let's see what they're doing. I tell you the truth, where I would let me back up. My favorite place in town would probably be Honky Tonk Smokehouse.
Over on Jonestown.
But that's way out of my way. So something I would go to often would be Camel City because it's here and more accessible to me. But if I'm picking a flavor and getting there, if I could teleport like our friend Jeff does and be anywhere I want to be, then it would be Honky Tonk probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went also last week to the new Bobby Boy Bake Shop, which is the new project from Chef John Bobby and his wife Lucia, that is on Ronaldo Road where Fabian's used to be. Mm-hmm. The building has been remodeled and it looks fantabulous. They share the space with Caviste Wine Shop owned by Russ Anderson. They have savory and sweet pastries, and once a day they bake bread. Right now, once a day they bake bread. And it seems their bread of the day seems to always be sourdough right now, but Chef John said they're working on different styles and will actually do bread service for restaurants in town. And we're not talking about the, here's your free bread that you get on your table when you sit down. This is the stuff that actually goes with meals, not the stuff you're dipping in olive oil and pepper. So it's
right.
It's actually bread for like restaurant meals. So they're going to start doing that soon. The kitchen is a fully functional one, and it can be used for the wine dinners that they're going to do with Anderson's Caviste shop, which is a good thing. I had the other day when I was there the classic chocolate eclair, and I purchased a loaf of sourdough, but unfortunately I didn't get to eat it. It was the wrong week to try anything new because I wasn't home long enough to eat it. So I just went ahead and threw it away, but it smelled great in there because of all the baked things. The eclair was delicious with a lovely custard in the middle, and it had what seemed to be, this plank of chocolate on the top, stiff chocolate that had a little gold flake on it, but it was held up by, I don't know if they were homemade or actually store-bought, but Hershey Kisses.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was a lot of chocolate on there, and it was delicious and decadent, and that's the way I like my eclairs. They are located at 1100 Ronaldo Road, and on the web they are bobbyboybakeshop.com. So, yeah, that was a good time right there. A lot of decadence in there, and I have pictures. I've just not got a chance to post them yet. But
so that's down there where Ronaldo hits Robin Hood.
Yeah, exactly where Robin Hood and Ronaldo
across the street from 1703.
Yes. Yeah, on one side is, I think it's Buena Vista, and the other side is Robin Hood.
Yes.
Yep. And there's parking into it. There's a little bit parking beside it, and I think there's parking behind it.
There is.
Yeah, so.
I'm glad to see somebody doing something with that spot. It's been a while since we've had something good in there.
Well, it's been a while since they've been talking about putting something in there. Chef John Bobby has been talking about this now for 2 years, and it was just getting everything right. And I think having a fully functional kitchen that's not just a bakery kitchen will help in the long run, because he's going to do those wine dinners with Caviste shop. But they wanted to just get in and get open. And they charged this 4%. I forget what they call it. It's 4% something into your bill, and it's not a tip. It goes into a revenue sharing account that gets distributed to the employees over time. And you have an option if you like to opt out of that. But I'm like, well, double mine. Because they, it's something that a place is actually giving back to their employees. And I don't think that counts Bobby and Lucia. John and Lucia. I think it's just the employees.
So that's great.
Yeah. So
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I like the idea. I forget what they call it. It's a little sign there right by the register. It says, we charge 4%, blah, blah, blah. And this is not a tip. This is a give back program for employees and something. I wish I would have taken a picture of that sign. But, I will be going back, so I will take a picture the next time.
Well, given their proximity to Buena Vista, it seems like they would do well with that kind of a high-end bakery.
I think so, because that's kind of a high-end neighborhood. That's the I think that's the lower upper class area of town. It's not those like gated exclusivity type places, but it sure is full of niceness.
Yeah, upper crust.
Upper crust. That's right. This is certainly the upper crust.
Are you calling me crusty?
Yes,
Is that
I
what you're
am.
trying to say?
Yes, I
What
am.
kind of finagling are you doing down there? I'm telling you, crusty.
All right, so last night, the Beer Dads, which is my two buddies, Paul Jones and John Louder, their pilots, or our pilots, that's our wives, that's what we call them, my son Trey, and friends Ryan and December, who work at Willow's. Ryan is the bar manager, and December is a server and sometimes bartender there. We all went to Carrabba's for Daniel Butner's partner table.
Awesome.
And
Was it everything you hoped it would be and then some?
it was, and we'd already given a preview of what we were going to have because we've talked about that. I had pictures on my Instagram about it, so there was a lot of Daniel and I talked about the food that we had, and I want to say to Daniel and Sam and I think his name's Zaban, they all did a great job. The food, the fellowship, the experience were all fantastic. Most everyone around was saying, "Oh my God!" So thank you to Carrabba's and Daniel, and again Aban and Sam for all that you did. It was fantastic. And I had pride in it because I know that I contributed to at least part of, my part was very minimal, but still there.
You were part of the R&D.
Yeah, exactly. I love R&D. And it turned out to be just a fantastic thing. We also, all of us had the 4 courses that we did, but we all got a take-home meal for today. And that's
salad.
what I made, or soup. I had soup with mine. So this morning, or before I came to the studio today, I had this big monster meatball filled with cheese on top of spaghetti. Yeah. And I also had minestrone, but I didn't eat that yet. I want to eat that later. And yeah, so and Stephanie got lasagna, but I'm gonna eat that later. She's this week. She said, "You pick whatever you want to eat," because she's trying to be good this week on her food intake. So,
And so are you.
oh yeah, I'm trying to eat good food. She's trying to eat well. I want to eat.
You're eating well, too.
Well, she wants to eat healthy. This is healthy. It's not healthy, but she's going on for a few days, nothing but like vegetables and all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm sure there's vegetables in that stuff. So she will get, because we also got one of the sausage and lentil soups too. I got the minestrone and she got the sausage and lentil, and Trey got the sirloin and sausage and lentil soup. So it was a good time.
When you leave after an amazing meal, and then you're taking this home, that for your portion is just going to be 2 more meals.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Let's talk about piling the value on.
Yeah, and $50 for basically 4 tasting courses, 4 wines, and a full-on meal.
Yeah.
That the meal
And a take
itself
home.
would have cost, 20, with tax and all, been about $25.
Well, I mean, if you look at average of a glass of wine's, what, $7-8?
Yeah, if not more.
You know, right? Well, there's about 30 of it right there.
That's true. It was a fantastic night, and there was another circumstance. I won't necessarily mention what it was, but it was an anniversary of a rough time for someone, and this was a great escape for them. And they said that it was that, and I told Daniel, and he said it makes him happy. He wants it to be a place people can forget about their troubles and strife for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that sounds like a bare necessities, a simple bare necessity.
It's either that or the theme song from Cheers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And let's not forget the Mission to Serve at Carrabba's on November 7th. Make your reservations by visiting Carrabba's.com. It's chicken masala, penne pomodoro, and Caesar salad with a donation of $10 or more. Plus, Daniel's going to give you a dining card for $10 at Carrabba's. So do the math.
You come out ahead.
Yeah, support Shop with a Cob, the Peacekeepers, and the Special Olympics Forsyth County, because the people at Carrabba's are just doing fantastic work.
And you need to go ahead and make that call now, because they do frequently have no seats left.
Yeah, and it's from 11 to 2, and they're filling, I think, every 30 minutes. So they have just so many that they can fill within that 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And the idea is you're just moving people through. I know that's, no one wants to be herded like sheep, but at the same time, this is a fundraiser, and they're trying to actually raise some money. But Daniel's the kind of guy, if you're sitting there and you're enjoying yourself, he'll just say, you stay right there. I know Daniel well enough to know that. So, well, I was a judge for the forklift event from Providence and Second Harvest Food Bank this past week. The event was won by the team of Nikki Miller, Kai Terrell, Anasted, and Julie Luck. The sabotages themselves raised about $4,800, and I heard the total of somewhere around $75,000 for the event. I don't know if I heard that right or not, but if I did, then that's an amazing total. Even the $4,800 by itself is an amazing total. So, in the people buying their tickets and their donations and all that other stuff, it was a great event. It has some work to do. This was the first time they ever tried to pull it off. There was some tweaking that has to happen, but at the same time, it was a very good event. It was fun, and it seemed like everyone else had a good time. Becky.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to be the master of mayhem. So I was like the Allstate or whatever, the guy who is always stay away from accidents like me or whatever.
Yeah.
I got to kind of be him, because anytime someone bid on handcuffs or standing on the cans or the foam fingers, then I got to implement them, and I had my top hat with my big feather hanging off of it. So
Cool.
it was good. Becky Zollicoffer, who had Let It Grow Produce on Country Club Road. Remember, we had the big thing about them and a Colony Urban Farm Store at the same time closing down, or at least announcing they were. Becky's been looking for things to move into, and our friend George Memory, who was here talking about Vera Dew, is going to let her use some of the empty space in Organics Juice Bar there on Hawthorne to set up shop. So that's a good thing. She's done several pop-ups across the street at Stella Brew, and it will take her a little bit of time, she says, to set up, but it should be a great space for her. So, and that's there a couple doors up from PB's, across from Stella Brew, Hawthorne Barber Shop, the Carlisle's bars right beside it. So there's a lot of things right there. That's going to be, and Ardmore Coffee. Let's not forget that.
Well, it's down there where Food Lion is. That's the big landmark.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but does anybody shop at that Food Lion? Really?
There are 3 people who use that Food Lion regularly.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I need to address a comment and email that I received from a reader or listener about my burgers list.
Okay.
Yeah.
We knew there were going to be comments.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the comment that this was the one. It's the same person, and it's the same comment with the comment on the post being a little more in depth than the email. So this is from the comment. I found your burger review interesting but very biased. No other entry was allowed to have 3 burgers for review, with the exception of Boondoggies. So to put the math to it, you reviewed a total of 12 burgers, with 3 being from Boondoggies. So this means that Boondoggies occupied 25% of the entries, while all other restaurants had just 8.3% of the entries, just 1 burger. How is that fair? And who cares if someone sponsored it by purchasing multiple burgers for you? You should have only accepted 1 burger per restaurant. I like a good competition, but only if it's on a level playing field, and this, by your own admission, was not. Honestly, Boondoggies food in general isn't, quote, all that. And the other criteria is out of bounds. That is out of bounds is the fact that Boondoggies is not located in Winston-Salem. Heck, would they win Best Food Truck 2 for 2019 if they hadn't even operated in almost a year? Hilarious and absurdly political. So, first off, thank you, Robert, for either taking the time to read the post or listen to the podcast, whichever you did. Second, you are absolutely correct. It was biased. It was 100% biased. I was 100% biased about my favorite burgers. You stated that by my own admission that it wasn't on a level playing field. I have no clue what you think I admitted to, but I will go back to 2 things that I wrote in the post. First, this is my list. It's not meant to be a reader's choice or a popularity contest. I respect the lists made in local promotions, but I feel it is just a popularity contest more than a true top list. I can't compete with those lists, and I don't want to. I did take recommendations from others to get a broader knowledge of what is available to us. Second, and it comes down to this list is about how I felt while eating these burgers. I wasn't aware.
Your list.
Yeah. I wasn't aware, nor did I anticipate I was going to upset a mathematician when I wrote this list. I mean,
Actually, flawed math.
I mean, gasp! 25% of the entries was from one place, and the others only got 8.3%. What? Okay, let's set something straight. I actually reviewed 34 burgers from 30 different restaurants, not 3 from 1 and 1 from 9. If you look through my Instagram, each one is mentioned, and you may think to yourself, this is a blog. But the blog, the podcast, and the Instagram feed are all interconnected. I spent the whole summer eating these burgers, and for the record, I actually had 2 burgers from Willow's, neither of which made the list. I had 2 from West End Cafe, and only 1 made the list, and I talked about it in the post, so that raises WEC, that's West End Cafe, up from 8.3 and brings Boondoggie down from 25%. I also had 2 from Sir Winston, and neither made the list, but it would have made the next levels if I had done 15. And yes, I did talk about 3 burgers from Boondoggies. I wasn't aware of any rule to my list that allowed only 1 entry. Truth is, there was only 1 entry. Boondoggies. Any one of those burgers would have been a top choice. All 3 of them were my favorite burger, or as I said, the best burger I've ever had. My actual winner was the Grandfather because it was closest to a classic burger. I failed to mention that and said that all 3 were the one. I get that, but the truth is, the Grandfather won. To quote you again, the other criteria is out of bounds is that the Boondoggies is not located in Winston-Salem. You'll notice I said Winston-Salem-ish on more than 1 occasion. Again, Robert, this is my list, and I made the parameters. I will give you credit for one thing. The restaurant is a hole. It's a greasy spoon, and I said so in the post, but I also think that it added to the charm. You say, honestly, Boondoggley's food isn't all that. Well, sir, to me, on that day, it was all that, and all that mattered. To answer another question, if I was doing a food truck list and I didn't have food from that food truck, no, it wouldn't make the list. If the truck hasn't operated in a year, then no, it wouldn't be on the list. I have no clue what you're talking about being political. Do you think that my personal relationship to any of these places influenced my decision? Then why wasn't Willow's on there? Yeah, I can assure you that until I had finished my burgers from Boondoggies, I had no clue who Drew Ausley was. I didn't know what he looked like. I had never had his food. I had never had a conversation with him. I think I may have hit him up a few years back on Facebook, and we may be friends, but I have looked and no, we're not. I have sent him a friend request, but I friend a lot of people because food people is my job. So my question for you, Robert, is, are you a former employee that had been let go and you're sore about it? Or are you friends with one of the people that have been let go? If not, which restaurant do you work for and what was it left off this list? I'm thinking it's the former. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to read and listen, and I respect your opinion, but you're not respecting mine, which is solely what this list is about. And that's all I have to say.
You said from the beginning, it was my list.
My list.
This is how I felt when I had these burgers. I mean, if it were political, Food Freaks would have been higher because, I mean, I'm sorry, but he's been on the show.
He has.
We know Brandon.
Yes.
And you
Willow's
had a
would have been
co-host that was lobbying for them to go.
Yes, you were, and that's what people don't understand. In the background, you were giving me an earful about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I also recognize at the end of the day, this was your list, and it was going to be whatever you chose.
right. And I said it's how I felt while eating these burgers. As I was having the grandfather, I knew immediately that was the best burger I'd ever had. It just so happened to be followed by the Rock, and then followed by the Peacock. Each one of them on their own could have been number one, and would have been if the other two hadn't been there.
And if people knew you as I have come to know you, they would recognize that the entries in the top 10 could not have been foreseen.
No, Zito. How did I get there?
We were not projecting. You weren't even thinking about them.
No, Canteen, Social. Those are the big ones that come to my mind. Zesto, I could see. I knew it was going to be on the list, but where? And truly, I took someone there the other day, and they said, "God, this is a great burger."
Yeah, because it's a great burger,
Yeah,
and their chicken sandwiches are really good too.
yeah. So I don't get. Only thing I can think is that he either was let go from there and he's butthurt, or or he has a friend who was let go from there.
Yeah,
And the truth is, I know the truth of whether he was an employee or not. So, and he wasn't. But that doesn't mean that somebody he was very close to wasn't. And I don't know that for sure. I'm only speculating at this point. So, Robert, I'm sorry you don't agree with me, but also that I'm very happy that you don't agree with me, because that's what I asked for. I asked for people to disagree with me and to discuss it with me. So we got us talking. I love debate, but I don't like being accused of fixing something and being political, because that's certainly not what happened.
yeah.
I could
Not
have,
the least bit.
I could, if that was going to be the case, I could have thought of maybe 3 or 4 other places that I would have put on the list in the top 3 spots, and that would have been because I said so.
Right.
And that's not what it was. This was not. I was surprised myself. So, again, I appreciate you're taking the time, Robert, and I appreciate your opinion, and I appreciate you disagreeing with me. So thank you for that. Now that I can put the soapbox back in the corner, let's talk a little bit about some food holidays.
Let's talk, because some of them this week are pretty good.
So this is your 1 year anniversary, Ray, many of these you from now on may sound familiar to you.
They might.
So like 10/28 today,
Yeah.
National Chocolate Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was the exact same response you gave a year ago.
Chocolate. It's wonderful. Did you know that the Aztecs used chocolate as currency?
Oh yeah, why wouldn't they?
It's
better than the potatoes that the
100
Indians
beans was a day's wage.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's
there you
cocoa
go.
beans, right?
Yeah.
It's
And
also
it takes what? I think it takes like 400 or 500 of those to make a pound.
yeah, something like that.
So you could have a pound of chocolate after having worked all week.
That's true. But could you spend it the same way? Is it like cigarettes in jail? I'll mop the floor,
Maybe
but I'm not
not.
doing it unless you give me 3 cigarettes, man. So,
Did you know that the average American eats between 10 and 12 pounds of chocolate a year?
I think I bring that average down a little bit. I like chocolate, but I don't eat it that much. But I'm not average. I mean, think about average. We are having a rough day with the internet today.
We are having a rough net day.
It's also National Wild Foods Day. Whatever that.
Don't eat a lot of wild food. I mean, I've had deer, venison.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I've talked about this before. Growing up, I was not a fan of deer or venison because, just like everything else, my parents decided they had to cook it beyond recognition, and it's not how I do it. I like it. I like things as uncooked as possible while still being good.
Yeah.
So
And safe.
yeah. So, like on my honeymoon, I had venison carpaccio, which is basically raw venison that's been pressed and put into sausage-like form and then cut up. So, and dried, and it's good. On the 28th in 1793, Eli Whitney applied for a patent for his cotton gin. In 1886, the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Enlightening the World, was officially unveiled and dedicated in New York Harbor. That was from the French, by the way. It came.
What's a gift?
Yeah, it was in I think 100 different boxes and assembled here.
I would have thought it would have been more than a.
Or it may have been. It may have been, but I'm not sure. In
That's a lot of metal.
1914, George Eastman introduced the color photography process, which I thought was later than that, but there you go.
And that was in 1914.
Yeah,
And by Christmas of that year, the porn industry had already co-opted color photography.
wait till you see this in full color.
Yeah, baby, look at this.
In 1919, on the 28th, as promised last week, the Volstead Act was passed, which enforced the 18th Amendment prohibiting the sale of alcoholic beverages. It went into effect on January 16th, 1920, and screw all y'all for that. That's what I gotta say.
I'm glad I didn't live then.
Yeah, me too. In 1927, on the 28th, Pan American Airways inaugurated the world's first scheduled international flight all the way from Key West to Havana, Cuba.
Wow. All the way
All the
there.
way. 90-mile flight.
I was going to say, just about the time you get up to altitude, you're coming right back down.
Yeah. Woo, okay, down we go. I'm sure the altitude for them back then wasn't 33,000 feet.
No. I doubt they would have even had the cabin pressurized at that point.
That's true.
But I mean, still, from Key West to Havana, I mean, what? An hour? 30 minutes?
It's 30 minutes. I mean, it's only 90 miles. And even then,
Yeah.
I know the planes weren't going 500 miles per hour like they are now, but it was still has to get up pretty good amount of speed to be able to keep in the air. So,
Yes.
all right, on the 29th of October, it is Oatmeal Day. And I think your words back then were the first time you said, "Does it really need a day?"
Especially oatmeal.
Yeah. In 1682, on the 29th, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, landed at what is now Chester, Pennsylvania. And so you're wondering, what's the Sylvania mean? Sylvania means woods of. So it's the woods of Penn. Like Transylvania is the woods of Transl. Trans, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah,
The transwood.
Yeah. Transwood. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a little confusing in there.
Yeah. Yes, they have their own flag. In 1764, the first issue of the Hartford Courant was published. It is the oldest continuously published newspaper in the United States. On the 29th, in 29, that's 1929, Black Tuesday, that's when stock markets in New York and other major American cities fell so dramatically the day became known as Black Tuesday, the beginning of the Great Depression.
1929. Yeah, that. I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, so what is that, 90 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember my grandparents having lived through that. I mean, it affected the way they looked at everything.
Yeah. Yep. 1945, the first U.S. commercially made ballpoint pens were sold for $12.50 each at Gimbel's department store in New York City. Gimbel's, by the way, is the store in Elf with, what's his face?
That guy.
Yeah.
Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. And here's another bit of trivia. The real Gimbel's department store closed in 1987, so this was made on sets. In 2012, both October 29th and 30th, the 900-mile-wide Hurricane Superstorm Sandy with 90 miles per hour winds hit the east coast of the U.S. Sandy drops up to 12 inches of rain, record 32.5-foot wave in New York Harbor, 14-foot storm surge floods New York subways, shuts down Wall Street for several days, causes blizzards in West Virginia and Maryland, floods communities in 23 states, cuts power to more than 8 million residents, destroys beaches up and down the eastern United States. It is the worst storm in U.S. history.
Depends on how you categorize that. The deadliest storm was actually the hurricane that hit Galveston, Texas in 1900. Over 6,000 were killed.
Right. But this was...
I think the biggest one, for sure.
Yeah.
900 miles wide. That's
that and
massive.
Probably the most overall... I don't know, overall devastating. I would think Katrina would have been an overall devastation.
Katrina was, I think, in the top 3. Yeah.
All right, so the 30th of October is National Candy Corn Day. How do you feel about candy corn?
Let's talk about chocolate again. I'm not a fan of candy corn. Never have been.
I actually like candy corn. I say like, I don't say love. Something I like to have, and
Do you actively seek it out at the store and purchase it?
no. But if someone has it, I will eat it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the waxiness to me. It's like, what is this?
I don't mind that. I've never minded that. Now, what is it? That's
Just
what
sugar?
Yeah. But there's something
mean,
about it that makes it taste like that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot of flavor to it,
Yeah.
but I used to eat it in thirds. I'd bite the top off, then bite the middle layer, and then eat the bottom.
So you do the yellow first, the white, and then the orange.
Yeah. Just that thing.
So, candy corn flavor was modeled after corn in shape but not taste. Candy corn is supposed to have marshmallow, vanilla, and buttery caramel-like flavor notes, which combine to form that crazy, sweet, unique, and often polarizing candy corn flavor.
See, it is a polarizing candy.
And I was wrong. It's white on the tip, orange in the middle, yellow at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, I always ate it in little layers. Weird, but that's how I ate them.
Also on the 30th in 1929, Prohibition ends in Nova Scotia, Canada, replaced by government control of liquor sales, which, you know, we have government control of liquor sales in this state, and I think they should get their nose out of that.
It's time for them to pull out.
Yep. In 1938, on the 30th, Martians attack Earth, or so many radio listeners thought when hearing Orson Welles' radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. The broadcast was done in a series of news alerts with millions of listeners that believed it was a real thing.
Have you ever listened to it?
I have not, but I will probably listen to it when we get done here.
You know, it's really very cool. And you think nobody had ever done anything like that up to that point. So, yeah, people just automatically assumed they were hearing an actual news broadcast because it was done in the style of the time. Yeah, it's...
If you did that now, you would be charged with inciting a panic.
If you did it now, people would go, oh, yeah, okay, this is probably like that thing back then. This isn't real.
Yeah. Well, they just find some reason to throw you in jail for it.
Yeah.
In 1964, on the 30th, buffalo wings are created by Teresa Bellissimo at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo for her son and some friends as a midnight snack.
And they really are good there.
I have never been to Buffalo, but I've talked about my birthday plans for next year.
Mm-hmm.
It seems we're not doing Portugal, Spain, and Paris now, but we are going to go...
North?
We're going to Quebec City, I
Oh.
believe, starting there. And then we're trying to figure out a couple places to stop on the way to New York City because I've never been. And I want to be there on my birthday. So,
I've never been to New York City either.
Wow.
I've been to New York State, but I've never been to New York City.
yeah. I think I have been through New York State when we had trucks. I think I woke up one time when we were in Connecticut. But I'm like, okay, and went back to sleep because I was bored out of my gourd. In 1989, Smith Dairy in Orville, Ohio, makes a world record milkshake at 1,575.2 gallons.
Wow, that's a lot of milkshake.
Yes, it is. And again,
Wow, and
who's
that's got to be
drinking
frozen to be a milkshake.
that? Yeah, and who's
That's a lot
drinking
of
that?
milkshake.
Who's drinking it? You putting all these people putting their slobbery straws in this thing? No.
Yeah.
And then in 2012, Sandy was continuing its assault on the Northeast. On the 31st, of course, it's Halloween or All Hallows Eve. It's also National Caramel Apple Day, and I think you're a fan, right?
I enjoy caramel apple, especially if it's a Golden Delicious. I just got to say,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the Golden Delicious.
It's easier to get those sticks in the Golden Delicious.
Much easier.
In 1888, on Halloween, Scottish inventor John Boyd Dunlop was issued a patent for a pneumatic bicycle tire, which is what we still use today. In 1905, Joseph H. Campbell Company registered Campbell's trademark for baked beans, first used in 1898. Again, somehow they got away with, 7 years of not having it trademarked.
Yeah, you obviously wouldn't do that today.
Nope.
And I didn't remember that it was baked beans that got them started versus soup.
Yeah. And, a lot of people forget that Heinz actually was big with beans too. I always thought it was just ketchup, you know, and pickles and like 57 sauce. But beans was a big thing of theirs. If you look at the Who Sell Out album cover by the band The Who, Roger Daltrey's in a bathtub full of them with one of those big, huge, nondescript. I mean, it says Heinz on there, but it's very plain, like teal colored, and it still looks that way. They still actually have them. I've seen them. So,
Which album was that?
Who Sell Out?
Who Sell Out? Okay,
Who Sell
yeah.
Out. On the 1st of November, it's National Deep Fried Clam Day. Which, why do you need to deep fry them?
Why not?
Well, I like them, you know, steamed. Let them open on their own and just pop them bad boys out and eat. That's what I say.
Okay.
It's All Hallows Day or All Saints Day, which I guess that means all the saints have their day that day.
Yes.
It's National Vinegar Day. I like vinegar. I'll be honest.
So does Whitney, but
would I want
you.
to drink a lot of it? No. But I do like it on things, especially greens. I love it on greens.
I will say I've learned to like it on fish.
I like it on fish. I like it on French fries sometimes too.
Yeah, actually.
And one I totally don't get, it's World Vegan Day. I have plenty of friends, happy, that are vegans, but I just don't get it.
Yeah, give me some meat.
Those
Carnivore.
animals were put here for my pleasure, and I partake. In 1841, the first wagon of settlers left Independence, Missouri for the trip to California for the big wagon trail. And then you have to think in California, and just 8 years later, it's when the 49ers started because they were finding gold.
Yep.
In 1884, Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, was universally adopted as the international median at the International Meridian Conference in Washington, D.C., and the international dateline was drawn up with 24 time zones created, 11 of which are in Russia.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a huge country. Even after the breakup of the Soviet Union, Russia is still twice as big as the next two or three put together, which would be Canada, United States, and China.
Just greedy. They want all those time zones for themselves.
I know.
Come on, man, share. There's only 24. You don't have to have 11.
That's right, comrade. In 1993, on the 1st, the Maastricht Treaty became effective in its creating the new European Union. In 2009, on the 1st, the November 2009 issue of Gourmet magazine was the last published issue, which actually was distributed in mid-October. But it was the last one was the November issue, and the first one was published in 1941. So,
Had a good long run.
yeah. Now, the 2nd of November is a day I can really get behind. That is National Deviled Egg Day.
And you have your own
And I
special
do.
brand.
I do, and I had a discussion with a lady Saturday in Publix about that, about my own special, and she's like, I just never have liked deviled eggs, but that sounds like something I can get behind. I said, well, you should try it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt something. I don't know why I had never thought of this, but I was watching a YouTube video about odd things to do with eggs, and you know my stance on eggs, really. But how about a deep fried deviled egg? Yeah. So, it's kind of not incestuous, but cannibalistic. But take the boiled eggs, dip them in an egg wash, rub it in some panko with some like cayenne and some other things like that. Put it back into the egg wash, do it again, get it double done. Put it in deep fryer, pull it out, and then squirt your stuff into it. I'm going to try that. Maybe on the 2nd. That's what? Saturday?
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see what
Let me know how that goes.
I will. It won't happen Saturday, but it'll happen soon. I just want to try it. On the 2nd, in 1671, King's Brewery opens in Quebec City. It's their first brewery. That's
In
good.
the 1600s.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it took them that long.
I know, they've been doing it since way before then in Germany. I say way before. It's probably like 1550s or something.
I say the homebrewers were probably plentiful, but
Yeah.
mass producing.
In 1867, on the 2nd, the first issue of Harper's Bazaar magazine was published.
How bizarre.
How bizarre. I can't think of the rest of the words of that song. In 1978, the largest squid ever caught was taken in Thimble Tickle Bay in Newfoundland. It was 55 feet long and weighed 2 tons.
Wow. That's over 5 stories.
Yeah, but that's not a giant squid, though, right? Giant squid.
Just the largest one that we've caught.
Yeah. How big does a squid have to be a giant squid?
Well, we've got the Kraken level.
Okay, so this says a giant squid can grow to a tremendous size due to deep sea gigantism. Recent estimates put the maximum size at 43 feet for females and 33 feet for males, from the posterior fins to the tip of the 2 long tentacles, second only to colossal squid, to be estimated at 46 feet, one of the largest living something. But so
And
this
was
would be
55.
Yeah, so this would be a giant squid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a big one at that.
That's a load of calamari right there.
That's a shload of slime.
Yeah, it is. Think of the ink they got from that. In 2010, on the 2nd, San Francisco passed a law that allows toys to be given away with kid restaurant meals only if the meal contains less than 600 calories. So, an apple, a bottle of water, and a
Yep.
toy. That's the moderately content meal.
Thimble full of milk and a brand bud. There you go.
Yeah.
There's your 600 calories.
Yeah. It's not even a happy meal. It's a moderately content meal.
Somewhat disgruntled meal.
Yeah. The 3rd of November is, speaking of homebrew, Learn to Homebrew Day.
Yay.
Yay! People should do that. It's
Are you
also
going to have classes?
Yeah, I wish. I don't know how to do it. I've never done it. I have friends who have, but truthfully, I've never wanted to know. I just make it and bring it to me. Let me drink it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of like behind the scenes stuff, and I go to brewery tours all the time, but I don't want to be the one having to do it.
Yeah.
I just
You want to be the one consuming.
Yes, I will taste test all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And QA, quality assurance.
Yes. Somebody has to have that horrible job.
Yeah, they certainly do. And I will take it. It's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it.
Yep.
The 3rd is also National Bison Day.
Okay.
Okay. I like bison. It tastes good. It's a little different, but I like it.
There's a lot less of them.
It's true. It gives me more gas than regular food does. Every time I've had the bison pizza at Foothills, I just can't. I have to ride with the windows down all the way home.
So that's the meal that when you order it, you look at Stephanie and go, "Do you love me?" And she says, "Yes." You say, "I'll have the bison."
Yeah. If I do it in front of my dad, he's going to go, "Bye, son."
Yeah. Exactly. You got to ride home, don't you?
Yeah.
'Cause you ain't coming home with me.
In 1863, J.T. Alden of Cincinnati, Ohio, received a patent for an improved method of manufacturing dried yeast, which, that leads to home baking a whole lot easier. In 1895, the town of Walcott, Minnesota is destroyed by a fire that begins in a flour mill. Not a cow kicking over a lantern like
Right.
Chicago, but just a flour mill. And
Well, it doesn't take much when you've got all that dust in the air.
that's true, all that dry
Yeah.
dust. 1 year later, in 1896, John W. Hunter of Tabor, Iowa, received a patent for a portable weighing scale. Instead of those big ones that you had to do all the counterweights and all that stuff on it.
Yep.
In 1952, frozen peas are added to the list of frozen vegetables produced by Birdseye. This allowed for a lot more vasectomies.
Oh, no. That's not why we're thinking about frozen peas. We like frozen peas.
Well, so do people who had vasectomies because it helps them feel much better for the next couple
Yes,
of days.
I understand that.
It's always, can I use frozen green beans? No, has to be frozen peas. Why? Because it's
shape.
peas.
It's
And-
appeasing.
It's appeasing. In 1966, ingredients are required to be listed on food packages. I thought this was much later as well. This was the first truth in packaging law.
It was just the ingredients, though.
Yeah. When was it that they had to put nutrient values?
I don't think
90s?
that was until the 90s.
Yeah, we'll find.
I mean, 66, that's the year I was born.
Wow.
That takes us back.
That does. It takes us a while back.
Yeah, it's 53 years, just in case you're trying to do the math.
I wasn't. I was going to let you just say it.
It was also the year that Star Trek came out. So, pick and choose what you think are more important events from 1966. Ingredients on our packaging or Star Trek? And my... Choose one of the above.
In 1973, the FDA published the first regulations that required the nutrition labeling of certain foods, which included foods with added nutrients for those for which a nutrition claim was made on the label or in advertising.
That's why
In
all the cereals were
ni-
all like fortified with extra vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, in 1994, the labels were required on most foods under the National LEA, whatever that is, of 1990. Food labels are to list the most important ingredients in an easy-to-follow format. Yeah.
But not with words that are easy to follow.
Yeah. Why can't they just say, this is what it is for this container? Instead of saying, oh, there might be 4 in this container. I can do math backwards if I want to. Say this whole container, I'm only going to use half of it. So half of 400 is 200. Why does it say, because who does that? If you get a can of soup, it's a can of soup. It's not 2 portions. It's 1 can.
One portion.
1 portion. Now, some things have started to put 2 things. One is the per serving, and then per container. They should
I
all
prefer the
just-
per container
Yeah,
because that lets me know what's really in it.
yes. Because look at me. I'm not going to stop with just a half a can of soup, which I can't have canned soup anyway because the sodium is ridiculous. But if I was going to have, and I never did when I was eating it, I didn't stop with half the can.
Yeah, you're going to have the whole 8 ounces. I mean, it's 1 cup. You're not going to have half a cup of soup.
No, you're not. If you do, then you're like my mom who just had bariatric bypass surgery. That's different.
That is different.
But I didn't, and I want to know what the whole thing is if I'm eating it.
Exactly. What's my true caloric intake?
Now, I understand if it's like this big thing of like tomato sauce that comes in like, 64 ounces or something.
Economy size,
Yeah. It's something that you're going to split up. That's one thing. But usually, a soft drink. How many for like a 16 ounce? Does it say there's 2 servings? Is that what it says? 2 servings in one bottle?
I think so.
Yeah.
And who does that?
I'm not stopping at half a bottle. Dumbasses.
Unless I go to bed.
Well, then you drink it the next morning.
Well, yeah. But that's a whole different day's caloric total.
It was only 6 hours, but we'll count it as a whole other day.
It's a new day.
Yeah.
New day, new start. Tally, fresh.
The sun came up. That's a whole new time. Everything resets.
Sun's
it's
come
like
up. I got cakes on the griddle.
Thank God I'm a country boy. It's like my pedometer on my watch. At midnight, it starts all over.
Yeah. Because that's a new day.
Okay. I agree with that. But if I had something, at 11:30, and I wake up at 6:30 and eat again, then that means I'm only 6.5 hours, right? 7 hours from.
And, that's plenty of time between meals. And, yeah, that's a whole new day. That starts all over again.
Okay. Well, I like your way of thinking. I'll just go along with that. I'll tell Stephanie you said it was okay. Because you're like
that, or we're going to
ordained
use
and all
a
that.
weekly caloric in count. We'll just total up the whole week.
Yeah, but we just we just finished complaining about doing everything in one big package, or the lack thereof.
We want it both ways.
We can put it all in there. We can stuff it in there however we can.
Yeah, let's stuff that. Then we'll put some egg wash and panko on it. Drop that in the deep fryer. We'll be good.
Squirt our stuff in it, like I said earlier. That was stupid when I said that, but you know what I mean. Well, anyway, that's all of our food, holidays, and history for this week. Special thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for giving us at least over a year of, or an upcoming year of repetition for Ray, and making us chuckle, roll our eyes, and look up and see what a giant squid really is. If you can think it, they will ink it. Anyway.
Ink it promotion.
Yes. The Man Who Went to Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables Podcast Network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to Less Desirables, The Beer Dad's Fan Interference Department, 5B and Beeswax Vinyl, and more. You can find all these products and their latest episodes on our network website and directory, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll also find social media links to each one there as well. We would greatly appreciate if you visit our sponsors like Washington Perk Provision Company. I ate there last week at 301 West 4th Street. It had a little bit of everything in there. I had a really good sandwich, the Italian Stallion,
That is a good one.
with some chili lime chips on the chip wall.
Step a little bit out on the wild side.
Yeah, and our friend Ray Mitchell. It was I want to say it was Wednesday, and Wednesday is curry chicken salad day, and he said he liked that so much he was dreaming about the next day. Anyway, you can find local fruits, vegetables, meat, and dairy from local sources. Bingo Bango sodas made right here in Winston-Salem, Wolfie's custard, and more. Washington Perk is better than the convenience store, not quite a grocery store. On Facebook, they're Washington Perk, or on Instagram, they are at Washington Perk _DTWS. The Humblebee shop is located at 1003 Brookstown Avenue in the west end of downtown. You need to go to Instagram right now and look up the Humblebee shop. Brittany is always whipping up something fantastic and delicious, like desserts, cakes, muffins, regular, vegan, gluten-free, all that stuff. Humblebee shop wants to challenge your perception of scratch made and leave you with an experience you couldn't possibly forget. For more information, like I said, follow them on Instagram, Facebook, or visit thehumblebeeshop.co.
SHOPPE.co.
And, of course, Carrabba's Italian Grill, located 587 South Stratford Road. Let Daniel demonstrate what a responsible family of restaurants looks like. Carrabba's takes the community it serves very seriously, and having a fantastic franchisee like Daniel certainly does not suck. He takes care of his employees. He takes care of his customers. Follow Carrabba's on social media and on Carrabba's.com. Keep an eye on the blog. Oh, first, we have to remind everyone that Sunday is...
Sunday. It's daylight savings time.
Is it daylight savings or is it daylight standard? It's daylight standard time.
You persnickety folks that got to have it precisely one way or the other.
Well,
let me just double check and verify. Let's see, go to the right day. Daylight savings time ends. So we actually go into daylight standard time.
Okay. Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Is it spring forward and fall back, or is it fall forward and spring back?
It's spring forward, fall back. So you...
I always want to do it the other way around.
Yeah. You gain an hour sleep for normal people. I don't, because I don't have a dedicated bedtime. I just go whenever I feel like it. And generally that hour is lost anyway. So,
it's not like you actually went back in time and picked it up and brought it into the fall and used it.
right. I mean, you can't bank it like when you work overtime. Can I just take a half day off next week? No. You don't get the hour back.
No. But when you hit 2 o'clock, you go back to 1 o'clock and you get to relive, Groundhog Day. Well, Groundhog Hour.
It's always funny when, since the onset of guides on television, like satellite, cable, and all that stuff, to watch at 2 o'clock on those nights, to see something look like it's 4 hours long when it's only 3 hours long. Or on the other side, it's only 30 minutes long, and it's actually, the regular time. They just have to adjust the time setting. So
They got to mess with the schedule for that.
I do. All right, well, keep an eye on my blog and this podcast and the Instagram. Don't forget that. To find out more about the food news and happenings around town, if you have any food news, send us an email, tim@themanwhoatethetown.com, just like Robert did. Or on Facebook, Instagram, or Instant Messenger on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Man Who Number 8 the Town. On Instagram, Robert, it is Man Who Ate the Town. My name is Tim.
My name's Ray.
And we're closing the recipe box.
Fingers out of the
Yeah,
way.
You were totally... I was left holding the box by myself. My name is Tim. All right? We did that already. Until next time, thank you for
I'm still
reading.
Ray.
Yeah, he's still Ray. Close it again.
Ow!
Aha, got you. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the Man Who Ate the Town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.